Well, good afternoon, Mr. Wilson.
How you doing, Donnie?
Fine, sir. Thank you. We appreciate you coming in. And what we wanted to do today is just ask you a little bit about your tenure that you were here in Corpus Christi. Wanted to know a little bit about yourself, maybe a little bit of your past history with the extension, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, it's been a long time, 50 years, but I moved in here on in October of 1974. I had a title of assistant district agent, and I had 7 counties that I was responsible for.
Okay.
And I moved. I was county extension agent here in Bexar County. I'm in
Nueces County.
in Nueces County, and started out in Bexar County.
You started out in Bexar
And,
County, then you went
Then
to
I went
Wilson.
to Raymondville, Willacy County in the Valley, and then I came up here as county extension agent in Nueces County, and then they moved me out here when they opened the center. And
So when they opened the center, can you remember a little bit about how that was established? I mean, why was the center put here in Corpus?
Well, at that time, Dr. John Hutchison was director, and we had great, legislative
Support.
responsibilities and power at that time. And of course, this was back in the old ag days where it was before Google. And we were the ag Google for,
Yes, sir.
and the agents were to get in here. And so we had a good structure. Of course, we had a research staff here.
Okay.
And then we had an extension specialist staff. At one time, we had 11 specialists that were here in every stage, and they worked with our agents. And I had responsibilities, administrative responsibilities, for a 22 county area. And at that time, it was a little different administrative structure. See, I was both district director and programmer, ag programmer for the district, and I had a co-workers who was the home economics thing, and so it was different than it is now. But I got to always enjoyed the times when I got to go out on the crop tours, and I was a strong believer in result demonstrations and practical demonstrations.
Well, that's one of the things I remember being an agent under you, and of course you hired me.
Yeah,
moved me around the district as well, and I remember that was very important for us to continue the basis of being a county extension agent and working with applied research and result demonstrations. And tell me a little bit about crop tours. How were the specialists here supporting those agents out in the field, and why was that so important?
Well, I think I'm a little prejudiced, but I think we had the best, most effective district in the state. But we were big into agricultural result demonstrations. Agents would plan them, but the specialized people had the technical. And I remember one group of demonstrations we put on. We would have our agronomists at that time. We would get the top 2 seed varieties from every county in cotton and in grain sorghum, and we put those in demonstrations all over our district. And then we set the tour dates to where that they were different dates, and agents and producers could go to a lot of different ones. But we had a technical information on what was the best variety in a certain year, depending on the rain and the weather. Everything wasn't, but all the way up to we went up to Wharton and Brenham at one time in this district.
And with that information that they've collected, how would they put it together and disseminate it to the producer?
Dr. Parker would put those result demonstrations together, and we would have producers calling us before they got it because they wanted to see that information. They're getting ready to plant, and then about middle of November, 1st of December, they'd want to know what the results were on that. But it was a great program. We had good attendance at our crops tours and everything.
You were telling me a little bit earlier about knowing that computers were going to be the thing of the future. And back then, when we started here, there was no computers.
Yeah.
What did y'all do to start that?
Well, that's an interesting story. We had the Beeman Foundation out here was very good to us, and of course I didn't know anything about computers, and people didn't know what they did now. But I knew that was going to be important. So I got a lot of funds when we bought all kind of equipment. We had two offices, but we had this thing behind the stage here, completely full of great old big machines that that would put it in. And then one of the research entomologists got a personal computer 2 years later, and we finally hauled off that stuff. It has become, and we blew a lot of money on it.
Is there anything else that you can remember that's peculiar to this area that, when you started here in 1974, I can't believe it's been 50 years.
Yeah. Well, like I say, our whole district was agriculture was important because it was in all of, not only in crops, but also in livestock and brush control and so forth. And I was a strong believer in result demonstrations. I'd always tell the administration, if you really want agents to learn the agriculture, don't have a 2-day seminar at College Station. Have them put in about 3 or 4 result demonstrations and carry that thing all the way through. They'll learn twice as much.
Yes, sir.
It'll be practical knowledge.
Well, Mr. Wilson, we thank you for coming in. Really appreciate your time that you spent with us, and hopefully you can make the 23rd and come and celebrate 50 years of this center. One of the things, and we've continued to say that in years past, we're celebrating the people that were here, not necessarily this building itself. Like yourself and many other the specialists as well. One last question, what have the relationships meant to you over the years? Relationships with your peers, relationships with individuals here?
My best friends were, people I met through Extension, and I got to know producers all over the district, and of course I worked at stock shows too. But
yes, sir.
I said, it's funny now because I know lots of people in South Texas, but they could have my funeral in a phone booth because everybody is either dead or lived too far to come. But it's been great. We live back in Corpus at the Mirador Methodist Retirement Community now, and we've been here 6 months. And I still, I know the agents and people that knew me. I still have a farm up in East Texas. I still run cattle. It's been my hobby all my life.
Well, again, thank you for coming in, and we really appreciate your time.
Good. I'm looking forward to coming out. I don't think there's any question but what this district had the best agents as a group, and we had excellent support and cooperation with the specialists, and I don't think there's any district in the state that could be competitive. And now, one thing that sort of verifies that is of the agents that we had. Now then, there are 6 state. What is the people called now that do the
program leaders?
Program leaders. The 3 of those program leaders, and Donnie is a district director, and 3 of the 6 in the state are agents that come out of this district.
Yep, and
that's important, I think.
That's pretty important. Yep. Yes, it is.
That's the thing we were always so proud of.
Yes, sir.